Hello, my name is Ben, and I'm doing the first draft on my CubeDraft YouTube page. This is the website CubeTutor that I've been using to do a ton of fake drafts recently, and it's been a blast. I've been telling all my Cube buddies about this site and a bunch of stuff on MTG Salvation forums as well. But overall, this website, even though it's only a couple months old, has been a big success as far as being able to do some just free cube drafts and being able to build the decks as well. I think it's taught me a lot as well about how to build the decks, not just the drafting itself and which cards to pick, but actually what I should do after I'm done drafting, the cards I choose, and having to make the last cuts, because when I go draft in real life, the biggest thing I seem to struggle with is my last few cuts, and I feel like this has helped me a lot in that regard. So this is my cube. It's posted. There's a link on the website as well. About 540 cards. Have a couple fun cards that aren't listed on here that I run as well. But what I just want to do here is just try out a test draft and see how that goes. So 3 packs of 15, pretty standard. So here's the first pack. I got some good cards here. So we got Balance is really good. I also like the Mock Sapphire. I mean, it's power, right? Got the dual land. No shame in taking an Underground Sea first, but I feel like for where we are, just taking the power is the right play. Just taking Mock Sapphire to start out any draft is a great way to go. It's one of the 10 most drafted cards in the cube, and that's something else that's great about this site, is under the Analysis tab, you can click there and see the most and least drafted cards in the whole cube. And I've done hundreds of drafts on here, and every time I pick a card, it simulates it on there and puts the information out. So I'm going to start with the Mock Sapphire. So I could still go any direction I want, obviously, with just a Mox under my belt. What I got here, I got Maze of Ith. Maze of Ith's really good. Demonic Tutor is one of the best black cards in the whole cube. Time Twister, I'm still not... I mean, it's fine. It's not a great card, but it definitely has its uses in the right deck. Show and Tell is a recent addition I just added, and it's only been there a couple weeks, but it's done some pretty interesting stuff in real life, in some real drafts that I've done, and it's been pretty cool. I don't know if it's going to make it long-term, but I feel like it has a unique effect, especially since I do run 2 of the Eldrazi creatures. So where I want to go from here is I could take Demonic Tutor, I could take Remand if I want to go into a blue base deck, or just any sort of counters. I like Hero Bladehold a lot if I wanted to be a white aggro deck. But honestly, for me, I think if I was doing this draft for real and actually playing the games, it would boil down to Demonic Tutor and Maze of Ith, and I think I would just take Maze of Ith. Because if I'm anything but aggro, I am very happy to have Maze of Ith in my deck. So I'm going to take it. So next pack's interesting here. Got Braids. Still pretty early. I could go into a Braid style deck, but I don't think that really combos as well. I don't know. Maze of Ith and Braids are probably not a great combination. But Squee and Braids would work pretty nice if I could cast it. That would be something. Wasteland's always a good card. Just being able to destroy non-basic is just crucial. I like Enlightened Tutor. I had a deck the other night with Moat and Enlightened Tutor, and that was awesome. Just having 2 copies of Moat in any control deck is exactly what you want. I think for YM, though, I'm still just going to try and stay flexible. I'm going to just take the Wasteland. Like Journey's fine, Enlightened Tutor's fine, Rest to Angel's fine, but Wasteland's really, really good. So next pick here, no cards really jump out as being really good in this pack. I don't think I'm going to be the green ramp deck. I think that ship's kind of sailed, so Rofellos is probably not the pick. I could still just take the fetch lane to try and stay as flexible as I want to. I could take Everflowing Chalice if I could maybe try and go into some sort of other deck. I could do Memory Lapse. Counters are still good, even temporary counters. Cloudgoat Ranger is good as well. I think I'm going to take the Memory Lapse and just try and go into some sort of blue something control deck. So we'll see how that is. Alright, so there's the card that jumps right out is Miscalculation. I guess if I was doing this, obviously I'm passing to bots. That's how this website is structured. I'm passing to bots, and they're just picking the most drafted cards out of each pack. So it's not like they're picking a deck with an archetype or anything. They're just drafting the most popular cards, if you will. So I'm not reading signals. I'm just going to get the card quality is just going to decrease as the draft goes on. But cards I really like I really like Grand Coliseum a lot. Grand Coliseum and City of Brass are cards that I pick higher than most drafters, I would guess. I mean, I do take a lot of lands with most drafts, but Grand Coliseum and City of Brass, especially in Pack 1, just when you don't know where you're going to be, is so strong. Detention Sphere is another card I like, and in my draft environment where I play, that seems to table a lot, especially a lot of the multicolor cards. They seem to go pretty late. But I think I'm just going to take Miscalculation and go down that road, and just because I have 2-mana counter spells essentially, so that's a good start. The 1-mana blue cards, I don't like them as much as a lot of people like the Ponders and Brainstorms. I know it, and Preordain's obviously my favorite, but I know they set up your deck, but I don't like them as much. I'm just going to take Miscalc and see where this goes. All right, so what jumps right off is Muldrifter, because it's the only blue card in the pack. Solemn's a solid card as well. It's a 4-drop, which in a lot of the blue decks, the blue, white, blue, black, whatever, the 4-drop slot, it seems to be pretty crowded. I think my cube does a pretty good job as far as being balanced across the wave, because a lot of cubes are just, the 4-drop is just a glut, because it's the big jumping off point. So I could take that. I could also take, I think I'm just going to take Muldrifter, just take the other blue card. Solemn would be fine here, but I want to just take Muldrifter. Sheldock Isle, yeah, definitely taking that one here. Being able to do that and cast any card for free, especially with any sort of card draw. If there's a way I can recur or blink Muldrifter, it would be awesome. Evolving Wilds would actually be my next pick. I guess I could still go blue-green and go Kadama's Reach. I could do Ultimate Price if I wanted to go into blue-black. Evolving Wilds would be fine. You know what, let me try this. See if I can make that a little bigger, see if that helps at all. I'm just going to play Sheldock Isle because it's awesome. So 8th pick here, and I'm going to take a finisher. I'll take Sphinx. You know what card is really tempting here is Goblin Welder. That's a card we just added about a month ago to the cube, and it has been nothing short of awesome. It has been a truly amazing card, and I'm so glad we added it, because it's done some sweet things, and it's enabled its own archetype, the Tinker Welder deck. We call it the Winker deck, but it's been a lot of fun. So that's a tempting pick here, especially since I already have a Mox, and that Mirror Battlesphere, I think that was in pack 1. That's probably not coming back, but if it did, or I could still get a Sundering Titan later, or a Wormcoil or something awesome. You know what? Yeah, I think I'm going to try that, just to kind of see what happens. So, here we have, so I might be moving into some sort of Izzet deck, or I could still just splash the Goblin Welder very easily with some lands here. Here, after taking Goblin Welder, it's not Hell's Thunder. Grim Lavamancer is a good card, but I don't think that's where I am either. Gilded Drake seems sweet, or Electrolyze. Those are my two options. I'm going to take the Gilded Drake here. I still have enough time to pick up some bounce spells or ways to abuse it, like a Crystal Shard, anything like that, and that would be great. So I'm just going to take the blue card here. So, feeling better about taking the Goblin Water since the Mind Stone came back, so that's a win. Could also do Time Twister if I wanted to go real deep. That's a great way to guarantee a way to get the artifacts into my graveyard and out of my hand if I happen to draw the big artifact that I'm trying to weld into, like Sundering Titan or Mirror Battlesphere. Then I can just dump it that way. But I think I'm just going to take the Mind Stone here. So next is, what could I take here? I could take Squee. I don't think I'm going to have a lot of ways to abuse Squee in this deck. Enlightened Tutor, because again, red could still just be my splash. I'm not necessarily married to red as a main color. I could take the Icy, being able to ramp out Icy turn 3 with that, or that could be even sooner. It could be turn 1 Mox and land into Mind Stone, and turn 2 Icy Manipulator. That might not be so bad either. Yeah, I'm just going to do that. So, late Cloud Goat Ranger, really late. This is 12th pick. 12th pick Cloud Goat Ranger. I'm definitely going to take that here. And blue-white would be just fine. Guess I'll take the Keldon Vandals. I don't think I'm going to be blue-black. Splashing the Welder. Keldon Vandals seems like a good pick, especially if I move into Izzet. Plus, I don't want to play it against me with the artifacts I have so far. I don't want Reckless Charge. I'm just going to take the Pilgrim, sure. And last pick, Lightning. Pack 2. So let's see how this looks. There we go. So at this point, I'm heavier blue, then white or red is my second color. So cards that would... Interesting pick. So I got Recurring Nightmare here. Recurring Nightmare is awesome, but I don't really have a lot of cards that take advantage of Recurring Nightmare, and I'm not really there. I guess I could move into it. I do have Cloud Goat Ranger and Keldon Vandals if they have a bunch of artifacts, but otherwise the Recurring Nightmare is not good with what I'm doing so far. So this is not a very good pack for my deck, honestly. I have Force Spike, which is sweet. Sylvan Library if I wanted to go into green. Cyclonic Rift has been a really good card for our cube. I know not a lot of cubes are on it, maybe a third to half of the cubes, but it's been really sweet, especially in the blue-green deck as a way to give it some actual removal, or bounce, if you will, to put it in a better spot. But I think I'm just going to take Force Spike here, and Cyclonic Rift might come back. I guess Force Spike could come back too. They're both about the same pick level, I think. So Mana Crypt jumps right off. Nothing like casting turn 1 Goblin Welder and just if I have a way to dig up an artifact, I guess I should have taken that in Light Tutor earlier if that's where I was going to go. In hindsight, that might have been a little better. But Mana Crypt is a nice way to ramp anything out. Obviously, taking the damage is really bad, especially unless I get some of the life gain cards. But I love fast mana, like a lot of cube drafters do, just because it lets you do things before you're supposed to. So, Frantic Search seems fine, as another way to get some artifacts into the yard with Goblin Welder. But I'm just going to take the Mana Crypt. So what am I doing here? Got Seagate Oracle, if I want to go with a blue card. Could do Porcelain Legionnaire, a 2-drop that's great on defense. And another artifact for Goblin Welder, so I can keep it coming back. And that's going to be a key, too, with the Mana Crypt. Goblin Welder enables some sweet stuff, a way to get rid of Mana Crypt, because that's something that's nice too. If you have a way to bounce your Mana Crypt, like with Core Skyfisher, or just a card like that, a way to get rid of your Mana Crypt without just having to destroy it is just really strong, so you don't have to take a ton of damage you don't need. So these packs have not been very exciting so far. I guess it's only pick 3. But Seagate Oracle or Legionnaire, and I think I'm going to take the Legionnaire, just because of the synergy, and it's just really good defender. So here's the Upheaval. That's kind of a card I was hoping to see with some of the picks I had already made. However, there is Phyrexian Metamorph, which is awesome. Phyrexian Metamorph is one of those cards, personally, I value way higher than a lot of people do. I think it's picked pretty high, but I pick it really, really high, like top 3 consistently. So the fact that it's 4th pick and it's in the pack makes me really want to take it. But at the same time, having Mana Crypt and having Mox Sapphire as fast mana already makes Upheaval really tempting. So I think I'm going to just go for Upheaval and go deep. See how this goes. So, Fettergeist. Fettergeist and Mystical Tutor. Mystical Tutor as a second copy of Upheaval in my deck. What else can I get that's not a counterspell? It's an instant or sorcery, essentially, is what it is. So I can get the couple counter spells, and I can get Upheaval. So not really a lot of targets. I could get the Wrath, but then I wouldn't be able to take the Wrath in the same pack. I could just take Dismember, try and stay a little more flexible. As a side note, they're halfway through the draft, essentially, and I don't have any mana. So that's very concerning. So I might just be straight blue-red, maybe just straight blue splashing Goblin Welder and maybe Keldon Vandals. So I think I'm just going to try and stay open and just take Dismember. Wrath would be a good pick here. Mystical Tutor would be okay, but I'm going to try the Dismember. All right. So there's a Wrath that's a double white again. Land I don't need. Repeal would be good. A way to bounce my Mana Crypt for 1 mana and draw a card so I can cycle and save myself some life. Just the Wrath effects might be really key just to keep me alive until... No, I'm going to take Repeal. I think the cheap bounce will be effective for what I'm trying to do. So Mental Misstep's a card I want to talk about because not a lot of cubes run that card. We've had it in for about 4 or 5 months, and it's really been interesting. It's definitely provided a different kind of effect, and I had a mono red deck just on Friday where I had Mental Misstep and was able to counter a Key Swords to Plowshares that saved my 4 power guy from who was attacking. So, and it was just out of nowhere because I was tapped out, playing mono red, and being able to Mental Misstep his Swords to Plowshares was really key. So, still not sure about its long-term viability in the cube, but it's definitely a unique effect. So, anyway, that's my story about that. Aether Adept is just a 3-mana 2/2. Being able to bounce something is nice. And because I'm a little soft to aggro at this point, I do have Porcelain Legionnaire and Dismember, and I do have a couple 2-mana pseudo counters and Repeal. So I guess I do have some good stuff. But I'm going to take Aether Adept. That's going to help me a lot. I could take Chromatic Lantern to actually have some sort of mana fixing and to be an artifact. Maybe that's the better pick. Tough choice. Maybe I should just take the Chromatic Lantern. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to take the Lantern. Aether Adept, it's really close though. I could be wrong. I'm going to go with the Lantern. So, how about 6 mana blue cards? I could have Time Spiral and Upheaval in the same deck. That seems pretty sweet. And there's no other really great cards here. Here's that Core Skyfisher I was talking about earlier for the Mana Crypt. So I could do that. But I think I'm going to take Time Spiral. Yeah, that seems sweet. We're going to do it. Alright, so this is the wheel. So, just nothing fun. I'm just going to take Pithing Needle. I could take Doomblade, that'd be fine, but I'm just going to take Pithing Needle. So, again, nothing great. Maybe Faithless Looting. Maybe move a little more into Is It. Because I guess really my only white cards are just these two that are true white cards. So we'll take Faithless Looting. Here's a 2-mana guy. A 2-mana guy that can shut something down, so that's the pick for me here other than 4 other aggro cards. So I could take Mog Fanatic. I could take Mutavault, but I feel like my mana is going to be kind of sketchy already. I guess I'm just going to take... I'll take Mutavault, sure. Hey, Izzet-Charm came back. That's really late. I'm going to take that. Yeah, Spike Shadow are the only red card, and Soltari Trooper, pack 3. Hey, Time Walk. That seems like a good card to take in anything. Passing a sort of protection from my deck. That seems unfortunate, but Time Walk is insane. So, on this here, it's been drafted... It's been passed way more than it should have. Like, it's only like a top 5 or a top 10 card, and I feel like it's pretty... Actually, no, it's like a 10th ranked card, and I feel like it's definitely in the top 5. So it's been passed way more than I would have expected on this website. It's kind of interesting to see how other people draft my cube, and it's good for me just to, as the guy who is running the cube, but also to just kind of see if there are some cards I'm misevaluating, but Time Walk's not one of them. So definitely the pick here. There's the moat. Can I beat my own moat? Not really. So I'm really lacking ways to actually win the game here. Like, I can do sweet stuff like Upheaval or Time Spiral, but I really don't have any win conditions. So, how am I going to win the game? Yeah, I'm in a tough spot right now. So, what am I going to do? Am I going to grab a looter to just loot cards away? That's a great way to get... I need to get a really sweet artifact for my Goblin Welder. I guess I'll take that here. There's nothing else that's super great. So there's Grim Monolith, another artifact. Here's a good guy, Lodestone Golem. That's a great guy to power out, especially if you can drop him like on turn 2 or 3 with the ramp. That makes him awesome just because it sets everything your opponent is doing back a couple turns, or a turn. So I'm going to take Lodestone Golem here. I could take Grim Monolith, but at this point I really don't have any like big guys I'm ramping into. So I'm going to take Lodestone Golem. That's a really late treachery, and I'm taking it. Great day. Ralzeric's here. That's another card that has not been... It's been going later than I expected him. He's a really good walker, but I think people... The 2-color cards just get drafted way later than they should. I guess some of them, like this, obviously, is in a very narrow deck. but like Ralzeric is easily splashable in either deck. But here I'm going to take a 4th pick Treachery and be very happy. So that's a win condition right there, is being able to take my opponent's best card. So I'm going to do that. Alright, so we finally have some choices. We could do Sun Titan as a nice way to recur some of my stuff. I guess recur my Porcelain Legionnaire or the Wasteland if I am destroying their lands. So that's an option. But my mana is going to be really bad if I do that. Maybe I just take Coalition Relic here. I guess I could take Flametongue Kavu as a way to actually, have a board presence and kill their guy. Maybe that's a better play, because I do have Chromatic Lantern already. I don't have any fixing at all, though, so sure, we'll take Flametongue Kavu. Okay, so finally, some mana fixing. Some first mana fixing we can really use, like a land mana fixing. Sword of Light and Shadows here as well. That is, in my opinion, the worst sword, but it's still a sword, and it makes my guys a threat. Let's count how many creatures I actually have. 1, 2, if I'm just blue-red. 3, 4, 5, great with the looter. 6 if Treachery, 7, 8, 9, okay, and Spike Shot Elder, so that's not so bad. Yeah, let's take the sword. Should take Gemstone Mine, that's another card I like a lot because it's a 5-mana fixer, but here I think I'm really lacking some punch and some ways to win, so I'm going to take the sword. Wish I had Strip Mine to go with my Crucible. That's my favorite. I guess it's really the only true combo I support on my cube is the Strip Mine Crucible lock. I do have Wasteland, which I did that the other night. I had Wasteland and Crucible with Strip Mine in hand, so it was pretty awesome being able to just keep destroying things. So it's Crucible, Wheel of Fortune, or Avalanche Riders. I guess Crucible would be sweet off of Upheaval and having to discard some lands and then just being able to cast them. Outside of that, I really don't have any other ways to take advantage. Wheel of Fortune's not going to be great for me either. Avalanche Riders is just a... Yeah, none of these cards are really great. I guess I'll just take a creature, take the Avalanche Riders. There's the Tinker, and this is officially the last pack of the draft. And I did not get the best artifact. Big artifact I got was Lodestone Golem. That's unfortunate. But being able to get the sword, I guess, is relevant with the Goblin Welder. So I think I am going to still take the Tinker here, just because I can tinker away my Mox or any of my other artifacts, Pithing Needle if I run that, and get out my sword or get out my Lodestone Golem. So, sure. So Duskmantle here is great. I'm going to take Efreet as just a big flyer, and it stops aggro pretty well, and he can also attack. So we're going to take him. Next, I guess this is an interesting pick. Hearth Kami or Smash to Smithereens. I like Smash a lot. Being able to do 3 damage and take out their artifact is great, but I don't really care about the damage that much. However, I do care about having another body, so I'm going to take Hearth Kami. So 4 black cards in Banefire, so I don't really care about playing against any of these cards, other than maybe Sinkhole for my Mazavith, so I would take Banefire. Again, I know this is against bots, but it's good to... Hey, Duplicant came back. That is a card I will definitely run, especially with Tinker and Welder. Taking Duplicant will be sweet, so I'm going to do that. Don't care about any of these cards, but in a real life draft, what card scares me the most? I'm pretty light on actual removal, so I would probably take Obnixilis here. And just take a 2-drop and Hex Mage. Alright, so now it's the deck building portion. So let's drop in the cards I'm considering running. Probably not Faithless Looting. I just want to drop the Definites in here just to see where I stand. Keldon Vandals? Yeah, I probably would run that. I just randomly put Repeal in the 4-drop slot because you can customize how much each X card is worth, and so I just pick random numbers for them. Okay, so that's 26 cards right there. Oh, FTK is really good. Gilded Drake, I didn't get a lot of ways to bounce. I got Repeal, and I'd have Upheaval, but that doesn't really count. So this is 27. I don't think I want a Banefire. I don't think that's how I'm winning. but it is nice to be able to have at least one bigger artifact that is nice removal. So if I had like a crystal shard, that would make the Gilded Drake and the duplicate both really way better. So what are my cuts here? So I'm at 26, and Maze of Ith, 27. So I got some tough cuts here. The 2 drop slot is really crowded. I have 11 creatures, so I'm pretty light on creatures right now, but I think I would cut Hearth Kami. I think I'm going to cut one of the artifact destruction guys. So do I cut the Hearth Kami or do I cut the Keldon Vandals? That's tough. So the Chromatic Lantern helps to ramp me as well. It only ramps by 1 versus the Relic. I wish I had the Relic instead, but I passed that for something else earlier. But this still ramps me by 1 into my Upheaval or Time Spiral. So what am I picking? So I think I'm going to cut the Hearth Kami. That puts me down to 26, so I still have to cut 3 cards. So, am I a Time Spiral deck? Like, it helps me to reload, but it helps my opponent to reload, and I'm really going to struggle dealing with a lot of permanents, I feel. Like, I have some ways to delay things with my Icy and Repeal and Memory Lapse, but my only actual removal, quote-unquote, I have a Force Spike and Miscalc, maybe Izzet Charm, and Treachery and Duplicate. So that's not as much as I would hope. I'm going to cut Time Spiral. That could be wrong. I'm not 100% on Time Spiral's actual value in the cube. Like, I've seen a buddy of mine drafts blue a lot, and he values it really highly, but I don't as much as he does, and especially in a deck like this, I don't know how good it would be. So it puts me down to 25. So 2 cuts. Looter might be a cut. That would drop me to 9 creatures, but to be fair, Looter has no effect on the board if I don't have a sword out. And being able to loot's nice. Being able to hit my land drops or be able to get some gas if I am hitting all lands is nice, but it doesn't have an actual effect on the board, which is one of my concerns, being able to beat the aggro decks, because my deck looks kind of soft to aggro. I mean, I have some good ways to slow it down, but I feel a lot better if I had like a Frost Titan or that Sphinx that I passed earlier. So, what are my last 2 cuts? It could just be the Looter. Yeah, he's great with the sword, but I'm going to cut the Looter. That puts me to 9 creatures, 10 if you count the Treachery. So I need one more cut here because I feel like running 17 lands is okay. This is what I was talking about earlier with having trouble figuring out my last cut. So when I get to this point, when I'm normally playing, I usually go ahead and add my lands just to kind of see where I stand, but I know I need one more cut. Okay, so I'm running 12 basics of some sort. I start out with blue. I have 2 blue sources, no red sources. So my mana is really sketchy. So, but the good news is I only have 4 red cards. So, do I cut Keldon Vandals to go down to 3 red cards to make my mana even better? So let's figure out my mana. If I go 8-4, that gives me 4 red sources in my whole deck. I don't have a lot of card draws. I guess I do have Izzet Charm as a way to draw cards. I have Muldrifter, Repeal. Okay, I have a couple. So I think 8-4, that would put me to 10 blue sources. To be fair, my deck's not really that greedy, though, with blue. I just need 1 for a lot of it other than the Treachery and the Upheaval. So that makes it a lot better. I do think 8-4 is the way I want to go, though, for my mana. So is my last cut the Keldon Vandals? Because he's in a deck full of all the artifacts I have. He's a terrible draw if they don't have an artifact, but I guess this is cube, so they would. That being said, though, I still think I'm going to start it in the board. Plus, that's going to make my mana better anyway. I'm down to 3 red cards for 4 mountains, so that's a good place to be. So, that's my deck. Yeah, so this was my first draft on here for CubeTutor's website. Is where I draft from. The link's on my main page here on the YouTube channel. But I'm going to try and do a couple more of these, see how they turn out. Overall, this deck's not that exciting. It does some sweet stuff, like if I can do the Goblin Welder or Tinker, like I could do a turn 1 Tinker with Mana Crypt. and Lodestone Golem. That would be, unfortunately, that's the best option I have for a turn 1 Tinker. Wish I had that Mere Battleseer or Sundering Titan or something big. But that's where I am. But Treachery can steal some games, and Upheaval with 2 pieces of fast mana is fine. And I guess I do have the Mindstone Chromatic Lantern if I can float some and get those out so I can start jumping ahead with some mana. So, yeah, that's my first draft on here, and I'm going to see if I can get this uploaded. I had to do a bunch of research to figure out the software I was going to use, so hopefully this turned out okay. So I'll do another one here soon. Thanks.